This is the plans for the government for some sort of social media curfew. It's similar to that TV watershed 9 p.m. point where, well, you know, kids shouldn't be watching, so now we'll put on all the nasty thrillers about women being brutally raped and killed, which seems to be what everything is on television after 9 p.m. But would a social media curfew make any difference? Couldn't kids just get round it? And when they say it's making life more safe for kids, aren't they also restricting freedoms for adults as well? Let's talk about this with Mark Lehane. He's an executive head teacher at Wootton Academy Trust. He's also a former Conservative Special Advisor at the Education Department. Thank you so much for joining us, Mark.
Thanks for having me on.
Do you think some sort of curfew, some sort of rule where, you know, and apparently TikTok have already got this 10 p.m. curfew for under 16, so you can sort of be programmed in if you're a child account that actually you can't use it after a certain time. A, would that work as in practically, technically work? And B, would it actually help kids?
So I think probably curfew on social media would help, because anything that makes it a bit harder for youngsters to get on there might mean that fewer of them get on there in the first place. But let's be honest, certainly I've got 4 daughters of my own. They're way more tech savvy than I am. They will very quickly find ways around if they are there. Yeah. But the most important thing I would say to this is, look, there's that lovely phrase, isn't there? It takes a village to raise a child. So yes, the state can do their bit. Yes, the social media companies should do their bit. But this is really a parental thing. Yeah. You would not believe, or indeed you might believe, the amount of time we spend in schools dealing with problems raised by mobile phones and social media, be it the arguments that kids have out of hours, how late they are up into the night, and hence they come to school exhausted, the mental health issues that can cause. In fact, just like adults, if you're on your phone all the time, you get very wired. So anything we can do to encourage kids to have less time on their screens is good, but fundamentally the number one set of people that should be doing that is their parents. They're the only people who can parent kids. And actually I'm in the middle of writing a policy statement for the 2 schools that I run about what can we do as a school to stop pointing kids towards screens, particularly their smartphones, outside of hours to do homework or stuff like that.
Absolutely. It's such an issue. We've been saying throughout the show about, you know, this comes down parents, and there'll be parents who just don't care, don't make an effort. We know that parents who just, well, they're busy on their own phones, they haven't got time, I'm just busy doing this. Like, go and do what you want, kid, and use them as the electronic babysitter. But there are also parents who want to do the right thing and just say, I can't get my kid off their phone because all the other kids in their class are on their phone. And a lot of them are crying out for the schools to make stricter rules. I know Catherine Burble-Singh is also a head teacher. She's part of the campaign to ban mobile phones completely for under 16-year-olds. And I have to say, first of all, I was thinking, no, that's not necessary. I mean, certainly smartphones, that's not a good idea. But I'm coming round to that. Would that make it easier? Because the peer pressure on kids and on parents is so extreme now.
No, it really is, and it's a classic societal coordination problem, isn't it? So I'm a meanie with my girls. My younger 2, they're teenagers. They do have a smartphone, but they only get very limited access each day because I've locked it down. But that's all they've ever known. They get 30 minutes a day, or the old one, an hour a day on it.
Oh,
that's it. Okay. They know they're not allowed their phones up in their bedroom. Yeah. Now that's because I'm a teacher, I'm a meanie, and I was quite happy to be the bad guy. But for lots of other parents, that is hard. But what I would say is, you're the only people that can do that. Now, where a curfew or a legal ban on smartphones would help parents is, if you like, they can go, not me, guys, it's the law. It gives them another thing to hide behind.
And also, none of your mates are doing it either, so you're not missing out.
But then again, when we were kids, we always felt that everyone else's... when we were younger, we always thought our friends had an easy time with their parents. I was always telling my mum, well, my mates are allowed to do X, Y, and Z, and my mum just go, yeah, whatever, get on.
Well, go and I would always say, go and live in their house then. Pack your stuff up, off you go.
So fundamentally, it is a question of parenting. That's not to criticise parents. To say, do you know what? You have got the power. You've got the ability to do this. Schools and others will back you up.
And we've had that for years. I remember the times I've seen interviews with parents saying, oh, you know, I mentioned this earlier, oh, well, my kids aren't playing violent video games for 12 hours a day. OK, A, how did your 13-year-old get hold of that video game? Because someone had to buy it for him. And B, just unplug it, cut the plug off, end of, nothing to discuss. I do not understand why parents feel they don't have that power, but a lot of parents feel they don't. In terms of what they're seeing, in your experience as a head teacher, what is the issue? Because we told about, you know, there's upskirting at schools, there's, you know, there's the violent pornography that kids are seeing. There is, you know, the pro-anorexia, pro-self-harm stuff. I would say, if we're talking about harmful content, the pro-trans ideology content is something that I think is harmful for children. Constant talk about anxiety and mental health and all of that. Loads of evidence that constantly talk about that. Very bad for children's self-esteem and self-worth. What are you most concerned about in terms of what they are seeing?
Well, I think you've hit all the big ones there. Okay, so like I said, it is. If you wouldn't want, if a really good friend of mine put it like this once, if you wouldn't let your kids out in Soho unaccompanied at night, why would you let them get on their phone unmonitored?
Yeah.
It's that simple. If you don't know what they're looking at, then you should assume they're seeing the worst thing. Now, we can't protect them from everything, but those terrible kinds of things you described, they're all out there. Lots of kids will have a way to deal with it. If they come across stuff that's really bad, they will talk to the parents, but lots of them won't. So the best thing we can do as a society is work together on this. But talk to any head teacher or teacher. They will tell you lots of those issues that we're dealing with now that weren't there 10 years ago are purely there because of not just social media, but the access that youngsters have to it on their smartphone 24/7.
And again, it's not even, I think a lot of parents don't understand, it's not even the bad stuff they're seeing. It's the supposedly, good stuff. It's the funny YouTube video. It's sort of actually, that is part of the problem. It's still part of that addictive problem, and kids needing this buzz. Once you've seen all these funny videos, you're on that algorithm. Books seem a bit boring.
Those platforms are designed to be addictive. If you look at some of the leaked transcripts that Jonathan Haidt's got a hold of, we know that those platforms are designed to be addictive, or sticky as they call it. We also know most executives in those platforms don't let their own kids have access to them. Listen, I'm as guilty as the rest. I've only just locked myself out of a load of the apps on my phone over Easter so I could have a proper break. If it's hard for us, imagine what it's like for youngsters who haven't learned those restraints over the years. But we can do this together, but it's not, a curfew would not solve it all. We need parents, companies, government and society to come together.
Brilliant. Really good to talk to you, Mark Lehane, Executive Head Teacher at Wootton Academy Trust. Just a quick word from Philip Ingram. I mean, I'd love to send my kids to school. I mean, that's the standard. We've got a lot of head teachers who don't even know how to stop kids using mobile phones in the classroom, for goodness sake.
But it's fantastic hearing a head teacher or associate head teacher talking common sense and giving some real tips, and it's educating the parents. Educate the parents.
It's what we've been saying. It's what a lot of the callers have been saying as well.